at basically the same exact time as other countries such as Venezuela are starting to crack down on crime, America is almost simultaneously getting softer on crime, becoming more lenient towards criminals, or at least certain kinds of criminals, if you know what I mean. And this has not gone unnoticed. There are bad and evil people around the world that have come to this realization. Now, unfortunately, a lot of Americans choose to live like ostriches with their head buried in the sand. So a lot of Americans have not recognized this yet. But criminal organizations from around the world are already taking advantage of our current situation. There are criminal enterprises in our world that never even dreamed of operating in America, because America always had a certain sense of law and order until up until a few years ago. Now, don't get me wrong. We've always had crime. We've always had corruption. But America has never experienced the level of corruption that we are currently facing today. And there are a lot of bad people out here that are exploiting this situation. Now, yesterday we talked about this crazy story where a teenager was walking home from school and just so happened to walk by a severed arm belonging to some man. I don't even think they've found the rest of his body yet. Well, police came on the scene. They found another arm, another leg. And after searching some more, they found a woman's head. And they started finding other body parts. And at the time of this recording, they don't know which parts belongs to who. They don't know if all of these parts belong to two people or if it's various people. They don't even know. Now, a lot of people in the area, and myself, I don't live in the area, but I was wondering, do we have another serial killer on the loose? Because out there in Long Island, it seems like they got a lot of little serial killers. There's a lot of weird stuff going on out there lately. I think people who live in the area will agree with me on that statement, because I've seen a lot of comments from people who live nearby, and they say there's just been a lot going on. Well, I was thinking maybe we were dealing with some sort of serial killer or something, but apparently law enforcement thinks that it's MS-13 or some type of other illegal immigrant gang that's involved in some type of gang war right smack dab in the middle of Long Island. You see, as these other countries crack down on crime, these criminals are exporting their businesses over here to America. They're basically taking their operation, they're taking all of their people, they're taking their entire gang, they're taking the entire squad and all of their problems, and they're hauling them all to America for us to deal with it. So now you have gang wars, right, that were being fought in South America. You got gang wars that were being fought in Africa, gang wars that were being fought in the Middle East, tribal wars, tribal beefs, gang beefs, you name it. You got all of this basically foreign drama coming right here to America. They're shipping it all here to America. You think all of these people coming across the border are here for a better life? No. They're not here to escape their problems. They're here to bring their problems to your front door. So now we have these gang wars that have been raging for years in other countries. Now they're being fought in our suburbs, in our neighborhoods. You got kids going to school right across from an area where foreign gang members are dropping off body parts. That's how bad this situation has gotten. And listen, I don't care where you lean politically. This issue has gone beyond a political issue. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. At the end of the day, you should want to live a safe life. You should want your kids to be safe. It's not unreasonable to want to live a peaceful life without gang wars being exported from Venezuela to your front doorstep. But with that being said, I want to roll this news clip because they were talking on News Nation about how they think this whole situation has to do with MS-13, basically chopping people up, dropping their body parts right across the street from an elementary school to send a message to someone. So I'm going to roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
So let's discuss. Let's bring in the former DEA Deputy Administrator Jack Riley and former FBI agent, News Nation Law and Justice contributor Jennifer Coffindaffer. Thank you both on short notice and Friday night. Appreciate it. Jack, what's the chance that they're wrong? What do you see here that makes you think, yeah, I've seen this before when it comes to MS-13?
Chris, unfortunately, I have seen this before. And this is a typical operation that they would carry out for a variety of different reasons. This is the way they intimidate. This is also the way that they seek revenge. And quite frankly, another revenue stream for them is kidnapping and murder. So this is a byproduct of what's going on the border. And as I told police chief today, it's much like our weapons problem. If we were to stop the importation or production of handguns today, we would likely be dealing with gun violence for the next foreseeable future, years and years. And unfortunately, what's going on the border and with organizations that are hell-bent on hurting Americans, this is what you get. And I pray this is not the beginning, but I'm fearful that we're going to be able to watch this in the coming months and years and kind of understand where it happened.
Well, Coffindaffer, I see you nodding along, and as we all know, it's not just the beginning. I live here. MS-13 has been in New York and on Long Island and spreading throughout the Northeast for a while. What I'm being told today is, because I haven't heard about stuff like this, even though they've supposedly been around and part of the drug game, is that, yeah, they're starting to reach critical mass. They've had boosts in their numbers, and now they're getting more brazen, and they're starting to operate more like they do in Central America. How does that work exactly, Jen?
Well, from my research, there's about 550 members in Suffolk County right now, and that's documented.
Where I am.
Now, I know that's the documented members, which means there's a lot more that are undocumented. Remember, Kayla Hamilton, her family currently has a $100 million lawsuit against the government because their daughter was killed by MS-13. And so this certainly is indicative of what they do. They're ferocious in how they kill, and they leave body parts specifically to be found to send messages.
So, Jack, just to turn cynical for a while, why isn't the perspective, all right, they want to do this to one another. You know, the guy's arm was all tatted up. Maybe it's a guy and a woman went bad on them, whatever. They're just policing their own. Doesn't mean that the rest of us have to worry. What does that miss?
Well, quite frankly, we all do, because these gangs are really in the country to take control. So you may see, and I'm fearful in some of the smaller cities where they're beginning to infiltrate, you may see gang on MS-13 violence. And I'm telling you, I've seen street gangs across the country, and I know Jennifer has too. I don't think any can stand up to the way that these viciously attack their enemies, and certainly people that would even attempt to cooperate against them in a court of law. So this should be a warning, a flare going up to everybody. We need to pay better attention.
Jen, there are two aspects of this that are bothersome from an investigative perspective for you. One is that there's too much ease of entry for them because their guys, even if they get caught, generally get released back in to the country, you know, the catch and release. And the second is that you start getting enough numbers of hostile people, you start to get into turf wars and gang wars. And that's when it starts to become a contagion in a community. So how do we know where we are in a process like that?
Well, we're seeing it right now. We're seeing violence increase. We're seeing gang members being held responsible, or in other words, they are the ones where the pointer is pointing to for these vicious acts. And so we're already seeing the manifestation of what's happening at the border go up north into the city and into the county you live in.
It's interesting because, Jack, they're very tough to police, right? Because the idea of making a case and working your way up the food chain doesn't work the same way when you're dealing with a gang like MS-13. What do people need to understand about that?
Well, quite frankly, they're in most cases illegal to this country, so very little is known about them, and their movement makes them very fluid in moving from criminal area to criminal area. My fear is that they end up in smaller communities where law enforcement is already limited in their ability, number one, to combat this and to speak their language. So this is kind of the beginning of us being aware of what's going on. In the drug realm, we've been fighting them and well aware of the way that they operate and they police themselves. I just hope that this is an indication of what's going to happen across the country. I know that law enforcement, DEA, and the FBI are all over this, but this is a tall tale. These are tough people, and I wouldn't refer to them as gangs. This is organized crime, transnational organized crime that we really need to pay attention to, much like the cartels.
All right, appreciate it. Jack, Jen, thank you very much to both of you. Have a good weekend.
You want to know what the scariest part of this all is? Other people aren't going to say it, so I will. Gangs like MS-13 are almost the least of our worries. Don't get me wrong. I know they can be brutal. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on surrounding MS-13 and other gangs like that. But to be honest, the type of people who are coming across our border, the type of radicals that are coming across our border from various foreign countries, coming from enemy countries across our border, they make gangs like MS-13 look like the freaking Wiggles, okay? MS-13 looks like the Teletubbies compared to a lot of the groups of people who are coming across our border. MS-13 and the evil things they do, it's child's play compared to some of the people who are coming across our border every day. So when you look at this situation, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's scary. But this is nothing compared to what we're going to start seeing. And if you think these little gangs are violent and bad, just wait until these other gangs start growing in numbers, okay? We've been dealing with the MS-13 situation for years. A lot of them come from Mexico and South America. We've been dealing with these type of gangs for years. I'm talking about we got people coming to this country from places that you don't even know exist, who believe in some wild stuff. Some of them even literally eat people and stuff, okay? We got head shrinkers coming across our border, all right? I'm telling you, you haven't seen anything yet. And if we don't nip this problem in the bud soon, it's going to become uncontrollable. And I think the argument can be made that maybe it's almost already too late. But something's going to come of this. And it's already happening. Every day I'm waking up to a new story about some type of person who's not even supposed to be in America killing some young girl on a college campus, chopping up body parts in a park. It's a new story every day. And eventually, it may be years and years down the line, people are going to get fed up. A line's going to be drawn in the sand, and who knows what's going to happen after that. But for now, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you want to donate to this channel, you can do so via CashApp, or you can help the channel for free by liking and subscribing. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.